Embers, their minds are these forests where thoughts fall as timber before I'm dragged away. Every now and again. I have no form, I could climb in her spine. Her blood is like wine to a ghost drunk on sadness. And time moves on slowly, in time I'll forgive her. 'Cause when she holds hands with him, I know she's thinking of me. Oh, every now and again, I like to imagine and I like to pretend. It's a glorious feeling, 'cause I'll be remembered for all my good deeds these 18 Decembers before I'm dragged away. Outside of the book, there is no resurrection. The valley below threatened me with a home. Heaven above has no map or direction. Whenever you can, cast a glance to the shadows for me. I'll try without end to seek others like me, whom I might befriend. It drives like a madness, there's no way to reach them. You catch just a glimpse, but you never can touch them before you're dragged away. It's every now and again.
Right, and we're back. And Roy or Rusty, have you got any subjects you want to bring up for the second part of the show?
Why don't you of them? You go first, please.
Okay. Well, keeping in line with what we were just talking about, education. Gmail got hacked not that long ago. Although I have a hard time calling these hacks. You know, the buzzword we use in the media is hacked. But I'm like, this isn't like Sony's network getting hacked because of Sony's negligence. At the end of the day, this is basically the accounts that got compromised. Somebody phished, got their credentials, and then used the credentials that they were able to socially exploit. And this goes with the education. I don't consider social engineering hacking. I consider it social engineering. And the better educated people are, the less likely they are to fall for a social engineering.
Yeah, have you heard the news about Google is in fact announcing something about a certain area in China which was doing an operation of getting the passwords of lots of people in power. So I don't know if it's mayors or CEOs of companies, but they were phishing details, which of course isn't exactly a hack. And I also try to distinguish between the word hack and crack, because I'm saying I'm a hacker and I'm hacking. And in some states or in some places, people hear the word hack, but they don't really know what hack means. So they think, oh, you're doing something wrong. I say, no, I'm just changing some code. I'm just changing some code.
And you know what? Honestly, anybody who's ever made a web page and justified things, alignment using CSS, technically is a hacker, because there is no official designation in the CSS to align things in certain ways. So we institute a hack to make it behave like we want it to.
Yeah. The funny thing, though, is I actually remember the word hack being used by Microsoft engineers when they were trying to get their own pages to work with the Internet Explorer 6. And guess what they did? They put in the comments hack for broken IE6 or something like that. And people found, they're looking at the page source, and they said, look, even the engineers at Microsoft are sick and tired of Internet Explorer 6, which, by the way, we covered yesterday in the context of how many people still use that. And hopefully not so many, because it's really, really a pain in the ass for any person who's doing transparent PNGs.
It is falling like a stone, but honestly, I'm not going to be happy till anybody who's using Internet Explorer is at least on IE9, because there's still so much stuff 7 and 8 just can't do.
Yeah. One thing that I saw in terms of statistics, though, I should mention it's a company called Net Applications, and Net Applications is in fact boasting Microsoft and Apple as clients, so they kind of receive money from them. And Net Applications doesn't look so favorable to Linux, but when it comes to browsers, they tend to be pretty much in line with their competitor. They will tell you that Internet Explorer has just dropped to 55% market share, and if it's true, and at least by their numbers, apparently it's true at whatever they sample, and they don't sample.
I have 3 other numbers that say about the same thing, so I think it's pretty true.
I think in these quantities, and also also when you're talking about errors of like plus 5%, minus 5%, it's not the same as trying to measure max usage and Linux usage, because you're talking about bigger changes here. But anyway, they say it's about down to 5% or so. We also received some good news recently about ASUS trying to and actually starting to pre-install Ubuntu on, I think, 3 of their netbooks. So we have more options for people who want to buy some notebooks. And what actually was concerning to me, though, was that some of the articles recite things which are not correct about return rates of Linux and what actually happened a few years back when Microsoft was allegedly paying Microsoft for ASUS to not sell Linux.
That's a little misleading. What was actually going on there is when Linux started to become used, when that experiment was done that time, basically Microsoft went in there and created public misdirection and then basically said, okay, this problem that we've now manufactured, we will just give you Windows licenses for free, and we've convinced you that's what the public wants anyways. Basically, yes, they bought their way out of it by giving the credits, but it's yeah.
And since then, in fact, the Windows profits have declined since around 2010, 2009. The profits stated by Microsoft, which, by the way, cheats in the numbers, and I have proof of that, and people have caught them doing that. The numbers have gone down, so they cannot charge as much as they did for Windows, especially because of these form factors where they have too much competition to up the price. One of the things that I should mention, as I did originally, was the thing with the return rates. And lots of people keep saying, oh, people weren't happy with Linux to return to the shop, blah blah blah. I can recall the CEO of I think it was the CEO of ASUS, Mr. Shan, I think his name was. He said in an interview that the return rates were pretty much the same for Windows and Linux. So there is no such issue, at least with this company. So it's quite disappointing that the news, even 2 years later, is basically repeating the same.
Well, but okay, that's always the way these statistics are reported. See, we don't report when Windows or OS X computers are returned, but we report every single Linux system that's returned. You know, it's the same thing with the server uptime matrix. You know, somebody, if you go in there and you look at that number, oh, look, it's dominated by so-and-so. But we didn't count anything else. Oh, so this metric is worthless then? Yeah, pretty much.
Actually, I saw some statistics recently. I believe I saw it 5 days ago. A person was looking again at Netcraft, and of course, for those who don't know, Netcraft has the deficiency of the way they sample uptime is based on a certain algorithm they have, and it doesn't tend to measure things correctly for certain types of servers. But what it does show in terms of uptime is that Linux is really like almost occupying all the positions, the top 10 positions, and same with BSD. And Windows is only about 4 out of 50. It's just Windows is nowhere. Now, if you were to believe IDC and their numbers, where IDC basically just measures revenue, they don't care about